What's up guys, in this video we're taking a look at the Pavo35. This is BetaFPV's latest addition to their Cinewhoop line. This is a 3.5 inch 6S capable Cinewhoop that's really meant for the O3 air unit. BetaFPV sent me the plug and play option, and judging from their site, the plug and play option is the only option available, so you will have to install your own video transmitter. Luckily the flight controller on board is plug and play with the O3 air unit, so if you're installing an O3 in here, you're not going to have to do any soldering to install that, and it's pretty straightforward. This bottom plate right here comes off when you unscrew these 4 outer screws. Then you have 20 by 20 or 25 by 25 mounting for whatever video transmitter you want to put on this thing. Like I said, I put an O3 in here, but you could put a walk snail, HD0, or an analog VTX on board if you wanted. If you do decide to use a video transmitter and a camera that isn't the O3 air unit, just make sure that your camera fits these brackets. The camera brackets on this drone are about 20 millimeters apart. The O3 camera itself is dampened on this carbon fiber plate that also holds a GoPro, so that means your action camera and the O3 camera are dampened. I feel like soft mounting an action camera on drones like this has been getting overlooked lately since the O3 requires dampening so much, but I think that that is just as important as soft mounting the O3. The O3 is definitely more susceptible to micro vibrations than a GoPro, but soft mounting in general for any camera that you're using is going to help get a smoother image. So props to BetaFPV for making both cameras dampened on the same mount. This top carbon fiber piece is actually the only carbon fiber piece on the drone. It's mounted to the ducts, and the ducts are made of plastic and they feel pretty sturdy using CNC aluminum, so it's kind of separated between the two, and you do have a lot of space in here for the video transmitter and the all-in-one board that they include. But this is the only piece of carbon fiber on here, and it's about 3 millimeters thick. Feels like it'll be pretty solid and hold up in a crash. And something that I really like about this carbon fiber frame is that it features a hard-mounted XT60. We are seeing hard-mounted battery leads more and more, and I love it. This is one of my favorite features on drones like this. Something else that I like are external hard-mounted USB ports, especially on a drone like this since they're usually difficult to access. You would only need to really access the USB port if you were trying to tune the drone, and we really shouldn't have to do too much tuning on this. Unfortunately on this drone, we don't have an external hard-mounted USB port, so to access the USB port for this drone, you'll need to jimmy your cable in between here, and I don't know if you guys can even see this, but the USB plug is right in there. Can you guys see that? On drones like this can be a little difficult sometimes. Also on top of the drone, we have these 2 aluminum pieces right here that fit the battery strap, and above that we have 2 rubberized grips that are going to just help hold the battery in place. Now looking at the back of the drone, we have a plastic sled right here that looks like it holds the O3 antenna, the receiver antenna, and it also has the receiver in there. I have the ELRS version, so this has a 2.4 gigahertz BetaFPV receiver on board, but you can get this drone with Crossfire pre-installed or just as a plug and play option. Actually, let's take this off, then you can see the flight controller. The flight controller ESC on this drone is BetaFPV's F722 35 amp all-in-one board that comes running BL Heli 32, so no need to install BlueJay on this one, which is nice. This board features a plug and play port for the DJI O3, and it has 16 megabytes black box on board. The flight controller is installed upside down, meaning all the UARTs and all the pads that you would need to solder to are actually facing this way. So to access that, all you gotta do is remove these 4 screws, just like how you do when you're installing your video transmitter, and then you'll have easy access to the top of the board. BetaFPV sells these cob LEDs, and if you want to install these on this drone, you actually get a cable in the drone that the cable's coming out the back, and you can just put it around the prop guard. This prop guard is actually perfect for it. I'm not really a big fan of putting LEDs on my drones unless I'm doing it for like light painting or something, but you can install a strip of cob LEDs like this on this drone pretty easily. Motors on this drone are BetaFPV's Lava Series 2006 2400 kV 6S motors, and then the props are Gemfan D90S tri-blade props. Overall, looks like a really solid design, very simple, easy to work on. The only thing that I really wish that this had is an external hard-mounted USB, or at least an easier USB access, because it is a little difficult to get the cable in here. Otherwise, pretty pumped to see how this thing performs. We just had a good snowstorm here in Boston, and it looks pretty cool outside right now with snow all over the trees, so let's hop outside and see how this thing performs. BetaFPV is advertising 12-minute flight times with their Lava 1100 mAh 6S LiPo that I have here. Lucky me, they sent me one, so let's charge this thing up, put that flight time claim to the test, and see how this drone flies and what kind of flight time we get out of this. All right, so hopefully you guys can hear me good. I got my 3D printer going in the background. But before I get into my final thoughts on this drone, I do want to mention that I actually have the Crossfire version here. I saw the little blue antenna on the back, and for some reason I thought that I had an ELRS nano receiver. I spent like 15 minutes trying to figure out why this thing wasn't entering Wi-Fi mode, and I thought I was losing my mind. Come to find out, it is actually Crossfire. Whatever, dude. Either way, I really like how this drone flies. I've wanted to fly FPV around snow-covered trees like that, and this drone is perfect for it. I did put some conformal coating on the board beforehand just to make sure that it wasn't going to short circuit at all with the snow. The O3 camera up front got some snow on it while I was flying around, but not too bad. Something that I just discovered since I came in and imported that footage, you unfortunately don't have easy access to the USB-C or the microSD card slot on the O3 air unit. I installed my O3 with this label on the bottom, so the USB-C is on the very bottom against this carbon plate, and it's blocked by the prop guards. It looks like you could potentially install it the other way around, but you would probably still be struggling to plug it in a little bit. Plus, if you flipped it around, I don't think that the O3 antenna would be able to reach the O3 air unit, because the distance between the antenna mount and where the O3 is mounted, you don't really have too much slack in here. So I'm pretty sure that this is the only way that you can mount the O3 air unit. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Other than those few things though, I really like how this drone flew. Handled well in the wind and snow, and pretty good flight time. I did have to split up my flights a couple times just because my hands were getting so cold and I wanted to just wipe off the O3 lens, but I did get 2 3-minute long flights and 1 2-minute long flight to get the last bit of juice out of this battery, so I did get a total of 8 minutes I think out of this. I bet if it wasn't as windy or cold, we could probably squeeze 10 minutes out of this. The tune on it is smooth. I wouldn't really adjust anything in the PIDs for this one, but I would probably adjust the rates. This is the type of drone that I would want to use for indoor work in larger facilities, or maybe even just chasing some go-karts at supercharged. So for that type of indoor flying, I would want to dial down the rates a little bit. This drone is 6S, and with the stock Betaflight rates, this thing feels like a 5-inch, to be honest. It's got really good power, so I would personally just bring those rates down a little bit to make it fly more like a Cinewhoop. But yeah, all in all, solid drone. I love the hard-mounted XT60. I love the flight time. The PID tune on it is smooth. I wish that there was an external USB for the flight controller and easier access to the USB-C and SD card slot on the O3, and I would recommend turning those rates down a little bit just to make this drone good for interior fly-through work. I always get comments on how much the thing weighs. This is a pretty big drone, so it's not gonna weigh under 250 grams. I will be shocked if this thing weighs under 250 grams, even without a battery. So dry weight with an O3, we're looking at 277 grams, and then when you add the 1100 milliamp 6S LiPo from BetaFPV, you're looking at 469 grams. So if this video helped you out, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave the video a like, and if you have any questions about the Pavo35, leave a comment down below.